This episode is brought to you by Joy Events, the world's most effective event planning software.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tess Vismel from the Event Tech Pull-Up, and this is my sidekick, my partner, my everything.
Keith.
One day.
That never gets old, though, by the way.
I know. And it's my fault because I set you up the whole time, every time. So today we have a fabulous technology we would love for you to explore, and it's called Voxo Event. And it's an AI-powered event content platform that focuses on turning live event sessions into usable branded content almost immediately. Their core promise is really simple. You want to capture it, you want to monetize it, and you also want to deliver it. And then what happens, if you will, on the stage is always, I would call it evergreen. So that content is living on in various different ways. There's always something for the attendees, right? You think about them frantically taking notes. The organizers, they no longer have to create post-event marketing assets. Sponsors, for instance, they can sponsor any aspect of the journey of Voxo that you'd like to, but they also could get recaps, daily reports, and event reports, things of that nature.
But Tess,
what?
This is solving a problem you and I have literally been talking about since we've known each other, which is you have all of this content at your event.
Yeah.
Why aren't you using it?
Oh my gosh, duh. What did I say? Duh. The thing that you would think that people would think to do and don't, and search and long and hard. And even before Voxo, there had been several out there that could allow you to use your content in different ways, but they still don't do it. Don't understand why. Yes, Keith.
Oh, I think, and we're going to get into it here in just a second, but I think one of the biggest things is Voxo has made it easy.
Yeah, they have. Yes. So the cool thing, you're going to hear from them today, Jacob Kinnander, as well as Johan Wadenholt Vrethem. He said I said it right. He said I said it right, Keith. And thank you and welcome. We're very happy to have each of you today. Jacob and Johan, this is going to be so exciting. I just got to meet with you all at IMEX Frankfurt, I spent a lovely time in the stand with you all. So I have a good sense of what the product is like, but we're going to take a little bit more deep dive. So if one of you all would love to, I think each of you perfectly, to introduce yourselves, but then also tell me about what Voxo is, but I want each of you to answer because I think you might have a little different points of view, the way you look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
And thank you for having us. Do you want to start, Jacob?
Oh, okay. You're handing it over to me. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And thank you very much for having us. I'm Jacob. I'm the CCO at Voxo. And what I do is that I work with everything commercially related, so sales, marketing, and sort of our delivery. And what we do at Voxo is that we look at ourselves as a content company first and foremost, perhaps rather than like AI first, but we are of course utilizing AI in everything we do. We're providing our clients with a massive content library that they can monetize, that they can create. It's a new revenue stream for them. So they get summaries, podcasts, reports in multiple formats from one single stream or session, minutes after each session is concluded, and it's fully branded. So we want to be that partner where sort of we offload them in terms of their workload and what they have to do post-event. And then when you work with us one time, you can utilize that content 365 days a year as sort of a pre-engagement during the event and post-event. So that is really how we and I especially look at it from the commercial aspect. And I love the entire monetization and content aspect of the whole thing, that we're not a cost for our clients, but actually new revenue and new revenue stream.
Perfect. Johan, and what is your point of view?
Cool. No, you can hear that Jacob comes from the commercial side, ending with what you should remember, that we're not a cost, we're a revenue. But no, but I'm Johan. I'm CEO and one of the co-founders. And as a growing company, in the beginning, I was basically doing everything from delivery to the tech side, and I have a technical background. But today, I'm trying to focus more on like the journey, where we are, where we should position ourselves, how we should expand, since we're working more globally now. And I'm blessed with having a really good team that now are able to kind of offload me and are much better on doing the specific things that I were trying to do everything. But when I look at Voxo, I think we came in and we figured out that there was a lot of problems in the industry that had been around for 10 or 20 years that we could actually solve with our background within AI. So as Jacob said, I think we're trying to not see ourselves as the AI company, but rather that we're coming in and we bring a lot of value. We're solving old problems like the forgetting curve and the limitations of the brain and how much you can remember and the overload and stuff like that. But we're also riding on like the latest technology, bringing AI podcast and new kind of content formats and everything. So I think we're kind of influencing where the technology is going within events in terms of the content side and helping out like different aspects. So I think we're more of a problem solver and a solution to a lot of the things that has been a problem in the event industry for a very long time. And that's where I see our value coming from, like conversational intelligence and bringing that into events.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
Wonderful.
I think, sorry, Tess, but I have something in my head and I have to get it out.
Of course.
I think what you guys are doing is pretty smart. You're not leading with AI, because every company is leading with AI right now.
Yeah.
Rather, you're leading with the problem and the solution. And that's actually something Tess and I have been talking about for 12 years, that no organizations are reusing content, right? The
Yeah.
content just goes, it's recorded or whatever. Now you're giving them an easy way to actually repurpose that content throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that people need to understand about AI is right now here in the States and globally, there's a real backlash starting for AI. And I think that is actually the fault of certain AI companies that are pushing out AI in places where it doesn't really work well. I know Starbucks is pulling back from their AI inventory system because it was right, but use AI where it's already been perfected, I guess. And one of the things is what you're doing, right? It does a spectacular job. And so for
Yes.
anyone out there
Thank you.
that has AI fear, this is one of the places where it excels, right? It does an excellent job. And so the first thing I want because that is really starting to brew over here, in the States. So, but use AI where it really works well. This is great. Coding is great. Does a great job with coding, right? Inventory, not
Yeah,
so much.
definitely.
Sorry,
It's a hard problem to solve.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tess.
No problems. And I think that's a great segue to I'd love for you all to kind of explore for me, one of you and or both, but how is it different from other products that are on the market that do similar things, either in one category that you cover or even just across the board? Like, what is that differentiator, that little secret sauce for you all?
I mean, we can't go out and share the secret sauce here, but no, but I think the differentiator in many ways are that we don't want to do a quick and dirty solution using Whisper, sending it to ChatGPT, and you get a summary that you can do by yourself if you have the time. I think what we have after 9 years in the industry with conversational intelligence, we trained AI models when it was hard. We spent millions of dollars on supercomputer clusters here in the EU with HPC and a lot of different like vendors and partners and everything. And when GPT came and the large language model and everything, we already knew what to do with that. So the last kind of 5 years, we've been taking the know-how of creating summaries, using tone of voice, actually giving people what they want to have, like that soft tone. They want to, you don't want to have it a very like squared in generic solution. You want to have something, you want names to be right. You want the LLM to take in all of that context. Who is speaking at this, session or this keynote? Where's their, what's their companies? What's the syntax? What's the setting? What's the event about? We are kind of feeding our AI a lot of information, not only the audio, and that makes it figure out what's the purpose of me creating this kind of summary or this, finding the key takeaways. So I think our secret sauce is actually bringing in like almost 10 years of know-how about conversational intelligence and then solving a real problem, creating that content. But I think the biggest differentiator is also that we are kind of an end-to-end service. We help our client to create this content, and they're getting, production grade content. They can share it instantly to LinkedIn or to social medias or in their other posts or use in their marketing kind of tools, because it's not only text. You don't only have it in an app. It's not just emojis from ChatGPT that is shown with the text. It is AI generated images that are following your brand guidelines. They're following your images. You can upload reference images. You can select what you want and you don't want to be in images in those reports. We're kind of, making it to a solution where you don't have to worry about it. And I love those kind of feedbacks that we have from some of our clients. I'm not going to mention them by name, but some of them, I remember one quote was like, it's just bloody brilliant. We didn't have to talk to Voxo for the whole event. Things were just, going out there, people were posting, we got a lot of good content, but we're not another tool that they have to manage during the event or anything. We're taking care of that. And that's what we're trying to become, at least with the enterprise solution that we have kind of for the managed service.
Yeah, and that really sort of ties back into the why reason that you brought up, Keith, that like, why are we doing this? It is to actually, the events create a massive amount of super valuable content that are lost within a couple of days. And by providing them with the branded content that they can actually repurpose and utilize throughout the year, that actually makes it more valuable than just having it as a text or text output or something like that.
Yeah, and I think a tool like yours, allows, and I always concentrate on small teams, right? Just because they're the ones that usually, have the most difficulty. It allows those smaller teams that are running events to have this and get it out there when beforehand they couldn't, right? It would have been impossible for them to do that.
No.
But this is where I get to shoehorn in my comment. But planners need to understand, even if you are overworked and busy and this is going to solve your problem, it does require a touch of planning on their side.
Just a touch.
But, and
Smudge.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is, okay, I'm sure, and you guys can let me know if I'm correct, you have to set up what you want it to look like on the other side of the event, right? Like you said, the images are on brand and things like that. And so you have to give yourself the time to get all of that in place. And again, it's not something that's going to take forever. It may only take you a couple of hours, but you still have to get all of that,
Sure.
the images and all of those things. But also on the planning side for the actual event, this is a conversation that they should have with whoever's going to be doing the technology at the event, because this isn't like throwing a microphone in somebody, right? You guys need to set up a RTMP stream, so that you guys get the audio that you need to make it work.
Yeah.
So it isn't instant, but it will not take a long time.
No, and it really doesn't. Of course, we want to have a good runway, and the length of the runway is really dependent on the strategy that the client has as well. How do they want to utilize the content? What is the purpose? What is their main pain point that they're actually looking to solve with Voxo, and why are they bringing us in? But the preparational work is on our end, that we're provided with all of the brand guidelines and all that, and we build that, and images are generated during the sessions and so on. And I think the more planning from the client perspective or our partners, is really like, as I said, like how to utilize the content. What is your strategy? Do you want it to reach everyone, like a lot of our clients do, where they just push it out and utilize the content that way, or do they want to have it as a sort of high value sort of delivery that they share to attendees post event, or I mean during that it's gated and so on. It really depends on the strategy and how you want to create that value. The technical setup, yes, you're correct. We need RTMP feeds and streams. It is a fairly fast solution as well. We are also in that regard, we're also supporting our clients and partners with actually coordinating that conversation. So usually they do introductions to us with their AV vendor, and we have that conversation with them. So it is really from us trying to offload as much work from them. We don't want to be an additional workload. Just like Johan said, that we've had that sort of feedback from clients, like, you just made it work. You take care of everything in the background and just make sure it happens. And that is really what we want to do.
But I think also to your point there, Keith, I mean, from a client perspective, it's also, I mean, find partners, find vendors that you trust, that you want to work with, that you know is going to solve your
Yes.
problem, and it's going to be fine adding another vendor to that mix. But I think a lot of vendors or a lot of clients today are adding vendors without figuring out compatibility. When should we talk to them? How should they talk to each other? So I mean, even us, we have a few, like when we see that there's a specific company running the AV, I mean, our tech guys is like, oh, so good, these guys are
Yeah.
professional. So I mean, as a client, find vendors that you know is gonna solve the problem for you when things happen, because there will always be fire during event, right? There will never be an event without any hiccups or any problems or any technical issues and stuff. So I think it's just like, choose good vendors that you trust and partners, and things will be fine.
But and that is also something, just to squeeze something in regarding that, for us. I mean, for me, worked in a wide variety of different industries, and I mean, event is one of the actual first one where I see that different vendors actually partner up in the manner that we do. Because for all of us, the end game is really to create an amazing experience for the attendees and support our clients to build that amazing, massive, sometimes smaller also, events. So we really partner up with a lot of different vendors just to make sure our technology actually works seamless together, and we have integrations. So when they bring us in and we're already working with someone, there's not a long sort of integrational process that we need to go through and so on. So we try to work with as many as possible, and I love the entire energy that everyone just had, that we're all looking out to support one another and help for the sort of the greater good, if you will.
Let's hope we never grow up and start saying no. Become the villains. Right now we're saying yes.
I hope not. I hope not. Well, I love that we've covered all the pain points, because that actually was my next question. But I want you all to shift a little bit around joy. So what are the joy points that the tech creates for your clients or your potential clients?
I can start. I mean, when we started and built this service, we thought about different type of stakeholders, and we looked at ourselves, like when we are an attendee at an event, what is our big pain points, and what would make us happy if that was just resolved. And one of the things that I found out early, I was a director within CGI, a big Canadian company within the financial industry. I was sent to a lot of financial events, and it was fun. You go there, you go to different kind of sessions, you meet with people. But one of the pain points that I had was that they always expected me to create a presentation and share that with the steering group or bring that home to the company. So it was a really fun time being at the event, but it was a stress sitting there taking notes. I knew that I had to spend like the weekend, build a PowerPoint and give some smart insights to everybody back home, because that also motivates them paying for the ticket next time, right? If I just come back and say, "Oh, it was a good event," they will never send me again. So for me, that is one of the things that we've heard from a lot of like attendees. If you look at that, they actually get something they can bring back. They can focus on the event. They can be there. and they then have like this fully branded kind of report that they bring home. So that actually brings me joy, because I had such a, it always felt a bit like I was a little bit reluctant going to an event, because I didn't want to spend that weekend with that. And also from my own knowledge, I mean, I'm a speaker at quite a few events, and if there's no solution like ours there, I mean, I used to have to rely on that somebody from my team took an image where I'm not closing my eyes and look angry on stage or something. That's something I'm working with. I always look
I
angry
took
if I
a
don't
lot of
think about
pictures
it.
of him looking angry.
I don't know why that happens, but it's my default modes. I need to think about look, happy. I'm so focused, and then I need to
Yeah.
create that post. I need to make sure it's something valuable I'm reading in the, valuable that I'm writing in that, and then I have to post it. So my focus goes away for like 1 hour maybe to write the post, find an image, and that's also something like that brings joy. I know so many speakers that
Goodness,
like
yes.
I could click a button and it went up there. And it's a summary. People saw that I was there. The room was half full because there was a lot of breakouts. But I managed to get valuable content out within 5 minutes of my session, and then I could go mingle. So those kind of stories, when we hear that from different stakeholders, that at least brings me joy, because I know that we're solving a problem that saves hours. And and maybe people are not going to events because they feel like there's so many kind of expectations of what comes after the event. So I mean,
Well,
we're trying to start that from ourselves, like what's the big pain point. So
yeah, and it's funny, you guys dovetailed right into an evolution of one of my clients, which, by the way, I've actually shared your your solution with them,
All
because for
right.
them it's the next step. When we started working with them, they actually had a note taker, two of them in the back of the room, and then their job was to, within 30 days, get a nice summary of the event that goes out to all the attendees. But then you introduced recording, right? And so then we were able to record the sessions. They could go back and re-listen to parts, but it was still that 1 month. Then it was, you were able to take the recording, and we were able to put it in something like an Otter, right, and get a transcript, right. And so then that actually shortened that time from a month to like 2 weeks, right. But now I've introduced this because attendees are expecting everything to be instant, because everything in life is instant now, right? Or at least
Yeah.
very
yeah.
short turnaround times.
Yeah.
So the natural progression for a client like that is to start using a service like yours, where boom, it's done as soon as the session wraps, shortly after you're ready to go. And the attendees do have that, and it's not even immediate gratification. You're reinforcing what they just learned.
Mm.
So they're going to remember it better than any other event they've gone to.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
why we talk a lot about the forgetting curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that, because I mean, there's so much information that is actually available, and you can't catch everything. It's impossible. But I mean, you forget. I mean, the amount of knowledge that is there and the amount of knowledge that you're exposed to is quite, I mean, from percentage wise, very little that you get away with, and then taking into account the forgetting curve. So actually having that to go back to and actually read up on that again, or being able to access the content or the sessions that you were not able to attend, I think that's yeah, for sure.
But we don't want to steal the
No,
concept of
sorry.
the forgetting curve from Adam Perry, the modern Ebbinghaus,
Yes,
who kind of
yes, yes, yes.
has talked about this for years. So I will shout out and give it back to Adam.
Shout out to Adam.
that
Yes,
Absolutely. We have to give it to my love
we're
Adam.
borrowing it from him.
Yes, absolutely. So my final question is this. So what feature, and if you want to show us, you're more than welcome to, do you love the most that you would love planners to use, or what they should be using? You know how they always kind of go back to the same thing, but you would love them to look at the product differently and be able to use this because you thought that this was the greatest thing on earth.
I have a couple of products that I use that I only use one little thing in it because it's my favorite thing about that product, and I don't even know what other things it does.
And it probably does fabulous things. And they're sitting up there, I would love for him to use this. This is ridiculous that he wants. So what is the one thing that you, or feature with Voxo that you would love your clients to use that they're not taking it full advantage of?
I think we did launch a few kind of new things
Yeah.
that in the beginning of the year. One was the kind of AI content bot that continuously learn and it adapts. It knows every word that has been said, and you can ask it to kind of explain a concept you didn't grasp in a session and stuff like that. So that's when people are using those. I mean that technology the right way. That makes me warm as a nerd. But the other thing would be like the AI, the podcast that we've created. I mean, we saw that because we're creating like AI podcasts that are available within 5 minutes after a session with two voices. There's audio in the beginning. There can be, we have background noise, so it sounds like that the recording is being made on the floor and everything. So it makes me warm to talk about it because it's already, I mean, we're seeing like 30% of content right now today with our events that are using that are content where they are listening on that. So people are giving us stories when
Yes.
they're like, I was so
Yeah.
tired, but I was on the way back, in the bus or in the flight, and I was just sitting there and I was listening to a few of the sessions, and they could get like a 5 minute recap with two people kind of discussing different ideas that they were mentioning during the show and everything. And that I think is something, and we're building similar things with video now, and about trying to figure out that piece, even though it puts more pressure on sending heavy video streams from the event, which might be a deal breaker for some of the events with the AV costs and the streaming and the Wi-Fi. But I mean, just having people using that kind of new technology, new formats that makes their life easier. That makes me happy when we create something and it hits home. It hits right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's actually one of those things where I'm actually going to throw a note on this for planners. This happens so often. Planners, we live in our world, and if we don't like something, we assume that the audience doesn't like it. And that's not always true. Um, a case in point is tomatoes. I cannot stand tomatoes. You know what? So I would have a menu without tomatoes on it, whereas people do like them. Um, and I think the same thing is true of AI podcasts, right?
yeah,
So planners, please, please, please give it a go, right? Because
yeah,
I will listen to an AI podcast if it's from great information. They are really, really done well. And for me, it's a great way to get a recap. Because if you think you're ever going to get people in your office or people in your industry to sit down and record these summaries afterward, it ain't going to happen, right? So just try this. You will find that people actually do listen and love these things.
yeah. And also, I mean, the technology is really getting there. There's more emotion in the AI voices now. It's not those, a couple of years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, when you asked like Windows to read a text for you and you think, yeah, I mean, it was terrible. We're not there anymore. I mean, the technology has come a long, long way just in the last kind of, I don't know, 12, 18 months in terms of like bringing emotion into audio, because that's also something. I mean, when we started Voxo 9 years ago, we were trying to solve like financial advisory. And that was a terrible idea because we had 80% word error rate in the Swedish language. How are you going to summarize something without GPT with 80% error in the text? So, I mean, so you need to use the technology when it's mature enough. And I would say that voices and like text, voice synthesis and like the text to speech and everything, it's really good now. So it is something that is enjoyable to listen to. I wouldn't have said that in 1 year ago when we tried this. We were like, no, we're
Yeah,
not there.
It's not there yet.
Nobody's gonna listen to this. So it's also like, I mean, everything moves so fast now. So try it again if you tried it 6 months ago. It might have changed drastically.
Yeah, well, it's like the Spotify DJ, right?
Yeah.
It's really good. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I think the voice is a little too happy sometimes, but it's
But it tried.
I will listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
Jacob,
get. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Tess.
no problem. I was going to say, Jacob, do you have one that you love that you would love planners to use?
Yeah, I mean, from the ones that Johan's mentioned, I mean, I think for me, because I use it a lot myself, and I think and that is actually the content chatbot that we have. It's a really great way because it becomes sort of like the mini LLM from the event based on the data, never spoken word from the event. So you can actually ask questions to it and receive all that within a few seconds. So for me, that is super valuable because I mean, and we're seeing that being used increasingly more. I mean, we'll release both the chatbot and the podcast in January, and it's being used at every single event that we do now. So for me, that is one of the absolute highlights. But then
I
again,
thought you
we're
were going to talk
also
about the content generation feature that we have. That's a little bit your baby coming from the marketing side. I was
it
not
is my
expecting you to let them.
yeah, but we have
But it's not publicly
it's not
released yet. So
it's not publicly released yet. That's why I didn't mention it. But that is that's absolutely my baby. I mean that is basically that the platform itself will create an entire content campaign for you based on the event and all of the session, writes the posts for you, pull all of the session summaries in as LinkedIn format, and the entire campaign is created for you. So you basically set what type of sort of messaging that you want to have, the length of the campaign, and it just runs it. Of course, you can edit the posts and all of that yourself. Yeah, that is absolutely something that I'm very excited about. And I don't
was
know.
really surprised because Jacob is usually booking like three meetings a week with me to talk about this, and they're like, "What do you love?" And he talks about the AI chatbot.
Yeah,
Love it.
no,
I pulled it out.
that,
I pulled it
yeah.
out of him. There you go.
Well, and this is just one thing most events don't do well. You guys are handing it to them on a silver platter,
They
right?
are.
Where they can just go and now they can again, I don't want to say instant, but it's like you're going to go from never doing it or you haven't done it, you don't have the bandwidth to just
Yeah.
being able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
And revenue, and you can make money
And
from it.
revenue.
Yeah. I mean,
Revenue.
those are my two babies. And I mean, to sort of go back to the question that you asked earlier, what brings us joy, and sort of to give the other side of the coin. For me, or a different perspective for me, is like, for me, it is really about that content, because I come from that marketing background. I work with that, creating the content from events and so on. I know the workload that it is. Like we talked about, Keith, I mean, it takes weeks and months to create that, and actually to be able to. We never want to replace anyone. That's not our goal. We want to amplify their work. We want to help them sort of be
Better,
utilize that in the best way.
Yeah.
So that is actually creating that, helping that they can plan strategies about it on a yearly basis and capture people straight after the event ends. Because I know a lot of events do that in terms of super early bird for next year, and I think that's amazing. But then continue talking about the event. Don't lose that momentum. Talk about it, and people will sign up, and that way you increase attendance for next year, and you can create even bigger things.
Yeah.
I know I'd love for them to see the product. We'll be able to hopefully put some things in. Keith, edit that part out. But do they have the ability of going backwards or only forward with Voxo? Can you recapture content if it's in a certain format? Like if they have audio from in the past?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, for sure, definitely. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
We can also. So keep coming. See, Keith knows me and knows how my brain works. My brain moves.
Yeah. No, but
I have tons of ideas on how I could adapt what's already there. But I just want to hear from you all. Just tell me about that.
Yeah, no, but so the thing is, like, we've been working for the last, I would say, almost past year, but with intensively the last 6 months, with building our kind of self-service SaaS platform where you buy, to different price point, you can sign up in different seats, and then you can do the same thing that our kind of professional teams are doing for events by just uploading your audio files, video files, even your live streams into our platform. you will do a lot of this work yourself. You will set up the
Right.
template. You will kind of integrate with the agenda with great systems and integrations that we have. And then you can upload basically anything that you have recorded, and you can create the session reports, you can create the event reports, even the AI podcast. So that
With
is kind
images
of,
and all.
yeah, so we want to empower people with the same tool to another price point, because we understand, I mean, having our professional team running a smaller event or an event where the budget is very kind of tight, it's going to be hard to make that match. So we've actually built that, and we're releasing it next week during Eventastic together with Ye and the team. So it's going to be amazing. But that's also why we are sleepless in Stockholm now, where we really want to perfect that before it goes out. So
Well, and
I appreciate that.
well, one thing we didn't talk about, and for those teams with the smaller budgets and things like that, we didn't talk about how sponsorship would work, right? And how you can make this a revenue neutral or a revenue on the plus on the revenue side.
Yeah.
So we should let people know that, because I think in a lot of those, smaller or lower budget ones, they're always looking to offset costs. So how can they make that work?
I mean, what we do is that sponsors can have, of course, their logos in their summaries. They can have their own branded dedicated sponsor pages. So, I mean, say IBM, for instance, that they can have their own IBM branded sponsor page within the summaries with CTAs, product announcement, wherever they kind of like to have. I think the organizer and the sponsor set limits. We don't. So that is one of the things. And to that point, we're also then sort of being able to provide them with data on how are people engaging with their content and what type of roles and so on, so they can also tailor marketing towards that. So they get basically hot qualified leads, and like how many times have this individual, we don't have any information about people, just want to stress that.
Yeah.
But how that's on the registered side, sort of registration side. But we can provide them like how many times did people look at and read that summary? How many times did they listen to the podcast and so on? An additional thing is that we've seen cases also where our clients sort of have this session summary packages as an add-on, or it's included in the ticket price with small adjustment. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's also for attendees, so that's also a way to sort of create that revenue. And I mean, we're talking about very barely noticeable changes in the price, like $10 to $50. I know that usually the ticket meals, a meal for the tickets are usually more expensive than that. So there's a few ways to sort of do that, and there's called different tiers. Like if you want to sponsor the event report, which is 9 out of 10 times the most downloaded asset. So you can be like the sole sponsor of the entire event report.
Well, and I think
so you could pick, and you could do spots too on the podcast too, right? Could you do spots?
Yes, that is very true. Yes, exactly. So that's absolutely something you can do. So you can have sort of it like weaved into the conversation in the podcast, or like announcement in the beginning, or it's really up to the organizer and how they want to do it in that way.
And here's an idea, Tess, before you throw yours, for all the planners out there. Sponsors always want sponsored sessions, and where they can just talk for 30 minutes about their product. Well, you know what? That ain't ever going to happen. They're not going on the schedule, right? However, this is a great opportunity where a sponsor could record something that can be included in the, their own sponsored session
in the post box. Yeah.
And it can go out as part of the conference materials. And I think that's huge.
That is huge too. And this is what I was thinking too, is that because the way that they have the product, which we'll be showing you a few visuals of it, laid out, is it creates a landing page. It can create, doesn't always, but it can create a landing page. And on that landing page, your sessions are there so they can click to what the content is so they can see each session. Well, that landing page alone, the branding of that could be banner ads from the sponsor on just the landing page. Am I right?
Yeah, you can absolutely. You can absolutely.
And you can sell that too.
We can sell everything.
I'm a little bit afraid here. It feels like Tess knows our thoughts and product
Well,
in a
I
very high
mean,
detail
Yeah,
here,
inside
having new
out.
ideas about,
Good
yeah,
I'm
research.
just saying,
yeah,
I broke a whole lot of stuff down when
yeah,
when I saw you all at
yeah,
Yeah,
IMEX, and I was so
yeah,
excited. And when I see tech, my brain switches
yeah.
on to possibilities. So
yeah.
yes, I see all
No,
that.
No,
but
that that that
100%.
is that is amazing, and we do provide our clients with like a monetization guide, because I mean, to make it easy for them, and we always offer them like a session with Jacob or somebody in the sales team to help them monetize it, because that's the best way of our partnership for the long run, is that they don't need to think about us being taking up part of their budget. We're adding money back to their budget, and I mean,
Yeah,
I can't disclose real numbers, but at least like five figures in dollars is amounts that some of our clients are earning, not just getting in revenue, but actually after paying our service on single events, if
yeah.
they're monetizing it the right way. So
Oh,
and
I
that's
love
something I
it.
know that everybody would
I
love
love
to
it.
do, right?
I love it.
I have one client that I work with that if they were to do something like this, theirs would be in the six figures.
Yeah, I actually
Because
think
yeah,
I was thinking the wrong. I actually meant six figures for
yeah.
some of the clients. So
But
some of the
hey,
bigger ones.
five not bad. Five isn't bad. Five figures isn't
Five isn't
bad.
bad. No, if we can say count on five and be happy with six, right?
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go. There you go. Well, is there anything else,
Definitely.
gentlemen, you'd like to share with the audience before you go?
I think I can share a quick thing, and that's just like we come from Sweden, and like we're from the EU, and I think one of the things that we love with US and some of the other parts of the world that have the similar mindset is that, you know, try a service like ours. Of course, we love if you try our service, but I mean, try a service like ours and see if it fulfills those kind of gaps and everything that you hope it will do, because you will basically pay the same amount having 20 meetings internally, bringing people into meetings, evaluating it. It's not that expensive of a tool in many ways. So I mean, keep that American mindset and try these kind of services, and you will be amazed. If it works, it's gonna be great. If it doesn't work, I mean, don't use it again. So
Yeah,
that's just one of the things I want to emphasize. Keep being brave and put your neck out. I mean, there's so many great technologies and solutions in this space that deserves to be tried. So
Absolutely. Thank you. And Jacob, anything you'd like to say?
I think Johan put it quite well. I'm just excited to work with everyone. No, but I mean, it's left at the top of my mind. I think Johan stole what I wanted to say.
No problem. No
Well,
problem.
and I'll just piggyback, Tess. I know you're going to close this out, but I'm going to piggyback for the planners out there. I think Johan's absolutely right. Planners, we need to be brave again, right? Try things, right?
Yeah.
And as long as the audience knows you're trying, right? They can be forgiving if they don't happen to like something or whatever. But this is one of those things that I think is mature enough now that it works. It's really, really, really good. And it is an absolute benefit to your attendees. This
Yeah.
isn't some funky party that you're throwing that has all this crazy decor. This is actually just something that's actually extremely useful.
Yeah.
And attendees add $5 to their registration because it's worth it, right? It is worth it.
yeah, definitely.
So sorry,
Definitely.
Tess.
It's okay. And it can pay for itself. So we know we can generate revenue for it. So it has been a pleasure to be with Voxo today. We would love
Likewise.
to allow you all to be able to see. They'll be on the Event Tech Atlas. You'll be able to connect with them. You'll also be able to ask us questions about the product if you needed to at all. But again, it's our pleasure for you to be here on the Event Tech Pull Up. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you
a
so
pleasure
much
to be
for
on.
having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for having us.